Welcome back. So, in 2025, our lives are just so wrapped up in the digital world, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Algorithms deciding what we see, online comments having real impact.
And these carefully crafted versions of ourselves online, it really makes you stop and think, how does, ancient wisdom, stuff passed down for centuries, even fit into all this?
That's a huge question. I mean, these teachings came from contexts that were just fundamentally different. No screens, no social media mediating everything.
Right.
So looking at how relevant they are now, well, it needs a careful approach.
Definitely. And for this deep dive, we're going to get into the insights of Mavlana Rumi. We've got these core ideas from him, beautiful stuff, almost like poetry.
Timeless truths, you could say.
Exactly. But we're not just accepting them outright. We want to kind of engage with them, challenge them a bit, see how they feel today, and maybe where they need a bit of a 2025 perspective.
Like a respectful update, maybe?
Yep.
Updating the software, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that, updating the software. Because, while wisdom itself might endure, how you apply it, that definitely changes.
For sure.
So we're focusing on 7 key ideas: generosity, compassion, dealing with others' faults, anger, humility, tolerance, and authenticity.
The big ones.
Yeah. And the mission here is to really dig in, find what still holds true, figure out where a modern twist helps, and just give you a clear shortcut to understanding these powerful concepts for right now.
Okay, let's start with generosity. Rumi's line is, be generous and helpful like a river. Simple, beautiful.
It is. But then you think about 2025, we often feel like we're just constantly giving online, right, attention, likes, emotional labor in group chat.
And it feels like it just flows into this giant digital void sometimes, consumed by algorithms.
Exactly. So what happens when that river feels like it's just constantly being drained, not replenished?
It's that digital burnout we hear so much about. You're pouring out likes, shares, comments, maybe real work effort. And it often feels like, well, where does it go? Does it even matter?
A real river has a source. It gets rain. What's replenishing us when we feel depleted by this constant digital giving?
And it's interesting how, the whole structure of social media with likes and shares as metrics, it kind of shifts why we give. Is it real generosity or are we chasing validation?
Oh, that's a good point.
The original metaphor, the river, feels so natural and abundant. Our digital spaces can feel more extractive.
Which kind of leads perfectly into our reimagined version. Be generous like a river, but dam your flow when you need to recharge.
Ah, okay. So boundaries.
Exactly. It's saying boundaries aren't selfish. They're actually essential if you want to keep giving genuinely over the long haul. Self-care isn't laziness, it's maintenance.
It brings in that idea of sustainability, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A river needs its sources. Our generosity needs us to be okay. So knowing your limits becomes part of being generous today.
Makes sense. Okay, next. Compassion. Rumi says, be like the sun, warming everyone equally. Beautiful image.
Truly. But then we look around in 2025.
It's complicated, isn't it? You see genuine kindness, absolutely. But you also see, well, stuff that feels pretty calculated.
Yeah, like social media definitely makes empathy more visible, but it also seems to have created ways to monetize it or perform it, maybe.
Performative empathy, like those automated chatbot apologies that feel hollow, or influencers crying on camera in a way that feels designed for clicks.
Right. It makes it hard sometimes to know what's real. How do you practice genuine compassion, and how do you even spot it with all this noise?
That's the challenge. You don't want to become cynical and doubt everything.
Like, you also don't want to be naive. Maybe our updated idea helps here. Shine, yes, but don't light up the darkness for those who only want your shadow.
Okay, unpack that a bit. Shine, yes, but don't light up the darkness for shadow seekers.
It feels like it's about discernment. Offer warmth, offer kindness, absolutely. But maybe be mindful of who you're pouring that energy into.
So, if someone's just constantly venting online, maybe seeking attention but not actually trying to change anything, that could be someone wanting your light for their shadow.
That could be one interpretation, yeah. The sun's energy makes things grow. So direct your compassionate energy towards things or people that show potential for growth, for positive change, not just those who seem to want to wallow and drain your battery.
Interesting distinction. Okay, moving on. Covering others' faults. Rumi says, be like the night, concealing flaws.
The idea being discretion, right? Protecting reputations, not airing dirty laundry unnecessarily.
A value many cultures hold dear, but 2025 online, it's almost the opposite sometimes.
Totally. It feels like a public courtroom. Every little slip-up could be screenshotted, amplified, judged by millions. Cancel culture is like the extreme version of that.
So you're caught in this bind. How do you balance that wisdom of privacy and discretion with, the feeling that you should speak out when you see real injustice? Silence feels complicit sometimes.
But public dragging can be so destructive, often way out of proportion.
Exactly. Which brings us to the reimagined rule. Be like the night protective, but let your stars call out injustice.
Okay, I like that. Protective, but with stars.
It tries to hold both, right? Value discretion, avoid needless shaming. But it also says there are times, the stars, when something serious needs to be brought to light.
So the stars are like signals for things that are genuinely harmful, not just minor mistakes, where silence would be wrong.
Yeah, that's how I read it. Discerning between, say, an awkward comment and actual harm, and addressing the harm without necessarily resorting to a full-on public pile-on for every single error.
Nuance. Okay, what about anger? Rumi's advice. In anger, be like the dead. Still, unresponsive. Basically, don't react in the heat of the moment.
The idea is to stop anger before it causes damage, which makes sense.
In his time, maybe the biggest fear was that impulsive, destructive rage. But today, our understanding of anger is, well, a bit more complex.
Right. Sometimes anger is a signal, isn't it, that a boundary's been crossed, that something's deeply wrong. It can even be fuel for positive change or just a basic survival instinct.
Absolutely. And being completely passive, like the dead, well, sometimes that just means you get ignored or taken advantage of.
But the flip side is scary, too. Exploding online, that can get you canceled fast. So where's the middle ground?
This is where the update comes in. Be cold in your rage, not dead. Freeze the chaos, then strike with clarity.
Cold, not dead. Freeze the chaos, then
Right.
strike. Okay, so it's not about suppressing the anger entirely.
No, it seems more about hitting pause, getting some distance from that initial hot flare-up, freezing the immediate impulsive reaction.
Like taking a breath, letting the adrenaline settle so you can think strategically.
Exactly. The cold suggests deliberate control. You let the chaos subside, then you respond with clarity, with purpose. It's about channeling the energy, not just snuffing it out or letting it run wild.
Strategic anger, maybe. Okay, humility. Rumi says, be like the earth. Be the ground others stand on. Supportive, selfless.
A beautiful, humbling image.
But again, 2025 reality check. It often feels like the loudest people, the best self-promoters, get the rewards. Personal branding is everything.
It really is. So the question becomes, can you actually be the quiet earth in a world that seems built on shouting about yourself? Won't you just become invisible, your work overlooked?
That's the tension, isn't it? How do you practice humility without just fading into the background?
Our reimagined version tries to bridge that. Be the earth, yes, but fertile and fierce. Grow roots, bloom loud.
Fertile and fierce, grow roots, bloom loud. Okay, so keep the groundedness, the supportiveness.
Right, that's the earth part. But add fertile and fierce, implying strength, potential, having something valuable within you. Grow roots, be grounded in your worth.
And bloom loud, that's the key part, maybe. It means it's okay, even necessary, to let your contributions be seen.
Exactly. Humility doesn't have to mean being silent or unseen. It can coexist with a quiet confidence, a willingness to let your value be known, to let your work bloom visibly. It's not aggressive bragging, but it's also not hiding your light.
Groundedness plus purposeful expression. I like that balance. Okay, tolerance. Rumi. Be like the sea. Vast, accepting everything.
Another powerful image. But wow, does that feel challenged today?
Oh, yeah. Misinformation spreading like wildfire, online tribes digging in, rage-baiting content everywhere. It feels like tolerance is under siege.
And it forces a really tough question.
Yeah.
Where does tolerance stop? When does being like the vast, accepting sea mean you're passively enabling really harmful stuff? Conspiracy theories, hate speech. Can the sea accept everything without becoming polluted?
That's the core dilemma, which leads to the updated idea. Be like the sea, deep and vast, but know when to create waves that sink hate.
So maintain the broad acceptance, the depth.
Right, the general openness, that's the deep and vast sea. But then the waves that sink hate, that's the crucial addition for today.
It means tolerance isn't passive acceptance of literally everything. It has to become active sometimes.
Seems like it. It suggests you need discernment. Be open-minded, yes, but when you encounter genuine hate or destructive ideologies, you need to push back actively, create those waves, protect the health of the sea,
Tolerance with teeth, perhaps. Okay, last one. Authenticity. Rumi's famous line. Be as you appear, or appear as you are. Be genuine.
Seems simple enough on the surface.
But in 2025, with filtered selfies, deepfakes, Carefully curated online personas. What does real even mean anymore?
Exactly. We're all managing our image online to some degree. So how do you even aim for authenticity when presentation is so mediated, so performed?
It's a real mind bender. The reimagined rule acknowledges this head on. Be what you are, or at least know your mask, because the algorithm thinks it's the real you.
Know your mask. That's interesting. It admits we might be wearing one, or several.
Yeah, it recognizes the performative aspect. We play different roles online, present different facets. The crucial thing, it suggests, is self-awareness.
So even if I'm putting forward a certain professional persona online, I need to be conscious that it is a persona and understand that algorithms are interacting with that mask as if it's the whole me.
Precisely. It's about not losing yourself in the performance, staying grounded in your actual self, even while navigating these complex digital identities, and being aware of how that digital footprint is being read and used.
Wow. Okay. So wrapping up this deep dive into Rumi for 2025, it feels like the main takeaway isn't just accepting these old words, is it?
Not at all. It's about this active process, interpreting, adapting, finding the relevance now. And that feels like a form of respect, actually, recognizing that real wisdom can flex and evolve.
Yeah, it keeps it alive, keeps it powerful. These updates aren't about ditching the originals.
No, they're like putting on a pair of 2025 glasses to see how these timeless truths land in our world with our challenges, connecting past wisdom to present reality.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. Shine like the sun, but yeah, carry your own shade sometimes. Flow like the river, but build those dams when you need to. And if you are like the night, make sure your stars still sparkle for what matters.
And that leaves us with one more thing to ponder, building on all this. Think about your own life, your own firmly held beliefs. Are there any that might need a bit of a software update for 2025? What wisdom, old or new, could be even stronger if you looked at it through today's lens?